Hello and welcome to this numerological case, which is about one of the greatest men in history, one of the greatest fighters of freedom of all time, one of these men who bravely stood up for what was wrong, one of these men who gave his life to make this world a better place, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. In this case, we're going to talk about the numbers of his higher self and the numbers of his highest self and the numbers of his human self. Now, these numbers are thoroughly going to describe Mr. King in every detail of his personality. So, here we have the higher self of Mr. King, which means that he was born the 15th of the month, in the month of January. So now this number 156 means that the number that rules this is the number 6, which is associated with planet Venus. It's all about family, it's about close relations, but it is supported by the numbers 1 and 5, so it means that this is a highly occult number that is about seducing people, gathering people, and having a very strong charisma. Now, this number is about a really strong intuition, and it's about a really strong connection to the higher realms, which means that he is this kind of person who is very good at following his intuition, and this means also that the number 6 makes him a really good speaker. It means that he's extremely charming, and he was extremely good at when he was speaking, people were really listening. But now, this number 156 also has its downsides, as it's a number of great occultism, which means that his occult skills and occult powers, they are very strong, and it means also that he sometimes get in contact with negative astral entities, which may make him depressed and have a lot of fear. So a lot of evil entities whispered bad things into his ear, and these things led him to have depression, anxiety, and a great deal of fear. So it means that Mr. King, even though he was very brave and he was a great speaker, he also suffered from a great deal of fear and anxiety. And now this number 156, it goes along with the number 7. And the number 7 is also a very high spiritual number, but the number 7 is more a spiritual number than an occult number. And that means that this number is about really being good at being at the right place, at the right time, and being with people. He was very good at feeling what is the best thing to say, what is the best thing to do. And it means also that he was extremely passionate, and he was very much into his feelings, doing what he felt. And he was a man all about justice. We see this here in his surname, which was not King but Junior. This was the last of his names, and it makes the number 189. And the number 189 is associated with planet Mars, which means that he was a guy really all about justice, and justice was very important to him. So when some people were treated not fair, he wanted to stand up and protect people's rights. So this number 189 is also a little bit of a dangerous number, because it means that he's also very likely to be betrayed. And when this number 156 goes with the number 89, which is the case here, it can be very dangerous, because it means that his life is really tough and he gets beat up all the time. As we see also here, his higher destiny number is the number 281. It means that he really often gets in trouble with law. And the number 281, according to the ancient writings, it's a number that means that one is very likely to get sued, to be in any kind of ways in legal systems, getting a lot of trouble there. And that means that he was arrested 27 times because of this number. That means that he comes into a lot of trouble with the authorities. And now his small destiny number is the number 101, which here is associated with the sun. as the number 1 is associated with the sun. It means that Martin Luther King, he had a great deal of winner attitude. He had very high ambitions. He had very high goals. And the number 0 goes with it, so it means that these goals that he had, he really believed he could do it. He really believed he could achieve great things. But now this number 10-1 is also a number that means that people, they really love him or they hate him. Because the number 10-1 means that a lot of people also get jealous at his strong willpower. And so therefore a lot of people, as we also saw with him, like also the legal system, some disliked him and some people, they loved him. And this number 10-1, it repeats itself a lot. We see it also here in his highest self. And what we see here is the number 12-3 also in his solar plexus center. And this means that he really had a lot of problems in his relationships, in his romantic relationships. They were really bad. But also with his close friends, there were a lot of people who betrayed him and people who were not really very good to him. Because we see here the numbers 15-6, 13-4 and the number 8. And I love Mr. King, but in a relationship he was very likely to I would say that people, his wife, if he had a wife, I'm not really sure about that, but then it was very likely that she would cheat on him because he has the number 15-6 associated with the number 4, and this means that people, as it goes with the number 16-7, so it means that other people are very likely to cheat on him and be unfaithful to him. But so also he has this feeling that things, maybe the grass is greener on the other side of the fence in many things he did in life. So he was he was not really satisfied with many things for very long. He wanted constant change. Change was a big thing of his life, as we see here also in his highest self. He has in his heart center the number 13-4, which means that the number 4 is associated with planet Uranus. And it's all about revolution. It's about new ideas. It's about working for change and progress. And it's about that he really wanted to change a lot of things in the world. But it means also, as the heart center is associated with the health in the upper body, and this number 4, which is the sum, is a very tough number. And that means that it was very likely that he had some problems with the health in his back, that he had health issues in his upper body, but also in his, actually all over his body, because he had a lot of numbers here for disease and for very bad health. But to talk about these things that we know about him, he was an amazing speaker. He was one of the best speakers for mostly all of modern history. We see this here in his first name, which is Martin, and this makes the number 17-8. And this number 17-8 is a highly spiritual and divine number. In the ancient writings, it was said that the number 17-8 is about immortality, which means that his name will live forever. And it means that he and what he does is something that will always be remembered. Now, it means that you maybe know some guy whose name is Martin and who has the same number, but it doesn't mean that just because you have this number, it doesn't mean that just by that you will be forever famous. But it's because of the combinations here of these other numbers that amplifies this trend. As we see also here, the number 17-8 here, just to mark it. We have it here, we have it here. And so also this number 15-6 is also a number of really seducing people. And when it goes with the number 17-8, it means that he really seduces a lot of people and he gets extremely famous. The number 17-8 is associated also with some of the most famous people in the world and in history. And it's about famous people, you know, with this number. We can mention Brad Pitt, Gaius Julius Caesar, Joseph Stalin, a lot of people. And not only good people, but also bad people. It's just a number of being remembered for what one undertakes. And this means that the number 17-8, which is a number of really high spirituality, so he actually has a lot of numbers of very advanced spirituality. And he was also a pastor in a Baptist church. And this means that he was a great believer. He really believed in what he worked with. And this also means that when he speaks, when he's on the stage, he really seduces people, because this charisma, when he walks to the stage, it's just like saying boom, and people are immediately caught by his charm, by his charisma, and his words were divine. Because the number 17:8 is associated with the number 14:5, and the number 14:5 is about communication. And as it goes with the number 17:8, it means that his words are divine. His words will always be remembered, and what he says is something that really goes to our soul very deeply, and that's amazing. But he also had a lot of fear, as he was like, we should be careful, we should not be too aggressive, and here comes this part of non-violence. We should be good, we should treat other people good, but of course this is a good thing. But he also had a lot of fear of not, he had maybe some ambitions that he wanted to do even more than what he actually did. He was very nervous when he should enter the stage, because we see this number 11:2, which means that he thinks a lot what people think of him. He's very concerned about, do people like me? What do they think of me? Am I good enough? So he had a lot of these limiting beliefs inside his mind, which was something not so good, as it kept him down from not reaching all of his full potential. So he could be even more successful if he had different numbers than these. And we see also here this number 11:2 that repeats itself, and it means that he suffered also from stress, and he was very much like, ooh, I should tell people what they like to hear, I should not go too far, I should keep it inside the lines, and these things, and also sometimes be a little bit careful about things, because this number 11:2 is like this monkey on your shoulder telling you you're not good enough, do you really think you would succeed, and all these things. It's really bad for him, but he also has this number 14:5 as his backspine number, which means that he really feels like he has a great deal of support from people, and he did that. He had great support. And the number 14:5 is another number of communication that repeats itself, as we have it here. And he was born in the year 1929, and that means that he was born in a year that makes the number 21:3. And the number 21:3 is about a very highly intellectual mind. It means that he was very wise, very clever from reading books and studying a lot of these things, as the number 3 associated with planet Jupiter. It's about reading, it's about studying, but it's also about studying so well that you finally crack the code, make a great deal of success. And now this is the essence of this number. And so Martin Luther King has his life theme number as the number 26:8, and this is a very negative number, because it means that he has the feeling that he builds up something really great, but then one day it all crashes, and you can see here that he got shot. It means that it really crashed, one of these things that he built up. But of course, as we have this number 17:8, it kept living on after him. His legacy went on, but himself, he had to go through this terrible destiny. And all these numbers, 15:6, also means that he was very much controlled, his mood was very much controlled by outside circumstances. It means that also sometimes he may have had a short fuse, and if something went wrong, he was very likely to get depressed very easily. But it also means that he may have suffered from a lot of diseases. He had a lot of numbers for very terrible diseases. So I don't really know what diseases he suffered from, but there's a lot of really terrible numbers for this here. So what we can say finally here in the end is that he had a great deal of sense of justice. Things should be fair, and he wanted to stand up when things were not fair. And when he stood up, he was really getting famous. People remembered his every word. And he had a lot of this charm, this charisma, but this was also the same thing that made him very sick. A dramatic personality, a very strong intuition, and very strong spirituality is what he had. And he was very much loved and hated, and he very often got into trouble with legal is with the legal system, as the number 28 indicates. So, Martin Luther King, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Numeroscope reading of him. And I hope this would inspire you to see how accurate the ancient Chaldean numerology is. As with this, you can tell all details about every person you meet, so it's much better, much more advanced than any personality test you might find. Thank you very much for watching, and have an absolutely wonderful day. Zeus bless you, and Hermes, Aphrodite, and all the other cool gods bless you. Thank you.